Here we go. Hello, hello.
Hello.
So, what are we going to explore today? Which topic?
Well, I'm really have been dying to talk to you about this topic for a long, long time, and it's such a taboo in the yoga community to really explore a non-vegetarian diet. But it's something through my own personal experience I've had to do for my health. And I've spoken to nutritionists before about this, and they've pretty much agreed that a vegetarian and vegan diet is extremely difficult to sustain good health and well-being. So I really want to explore with you and your knowledge of nutrition and physiology and health, this perspective of the vegan vegetarian diet, so we can go into the decision as yoga practitioners and teachers, so we can really go into the decision with all the knowledge and information that we have, because there is that culture in yoga to think about the ethics of the yogic lifestyle, and how we don't want to harm others, and we want to have a sustainable life, and a sustainable diet is part of that. So yeah, I mean, where do we jump in on
I
this?
mean, yeah, that is a really complex topic because I would say that, for example, vegetarian diet, it's still manageable, but vegan, it's really difficult. And the problem is, like, the clients that come to me, it's usually yogis. I'm a yogi, thanks to you as well, yoga teacher. So yes, even I try to avoid animal products as much as possible, but in a smart way, still keeping to the amount of protein that we need. And we need protein for everything in our body, every ligament, every joint, even collagen in our face if we don't want to have wrinkles, the collagen and the protein in our hair, in our nails, for every sex hormone, estrogen, progesterone, any steroid hormone, any enzyme, any neurotransmitter, so happy hormone, serotonin, dopamine to be motivated, everything is made out of protein.
Protein,
Yes. So
protein.
it's amino acids.
Yeah.
And yes, in plants, there are some amino acids, but they are not the full spectrum. And it's very difficult to get the full spectrum because we have 33 different amino acids, and the
Yeah.
plant-based food will have maybe 9 of them. But the
uh,
rest, where do we take it? It's only in animal products. Yeah.
yeah.
So vegetarian diet, when you at least eat eggs, and eggs are full 33 proteins, you give a chance to your body to get the full set and basically build, like, it's like a Lego building blocks to build
Yeah.
something. If you don't have the building blocks, you cannot build it. You could probably supplement it, but it's synthetic, right? Because they have to activate it, put it into the powder. So yeah, you can live on that. But then we would have to look at, is it sustainable?
Yeah.
Where is it traveling from? Is it from Australia? Is it from South America? Are we polluting and damaging the environment just because we want to be vegans, for example? I mean, so you damage the planet so that you don't kill animals. I know the decision is
Yeah.
very difficult, but I
So
would say that protein
let's
is.
narrow our discussion then to veganism, because it is a popular trend, and one would may assume within a yogic lifestyle and within the history and tradition of yoga that veganism is the only appropriate diet. However, coming from India originally, which is a vegetarian culture by in historical terms, they do still have ghee and milk as very much part of the diet. So there is an element of dairy. So, if we look back through the lineage of a yogic lifestyle, it hasn't encompassed veganism in its strict sense. The problem I guess we have as yogis is about the mass farming and the sort of the problem with factory farms and producing meat en masse, and how it's very cruel.
Absolutely. So first thing that I want to say, we are not Indians. Our DNA is slightly different. The same like we are not Japanese, and therefore what the Japanese are eating, living on the rice and everything, they have a different enzymes, right? And they can break down the food. And this is what people notice very often. So I'm from Eastern Europe, and we are therefore living on a kefir and sauerkraut and everything, and I don't have problem digesting it. As soon as I go to Mexico and they will be giving me red beans every single day, my body doesn't have the digestive enzymes to break it down. Therefore it goes to the gut bacteria, and I will be bloated, and I will be farting, and I will be probably producing more methane than cows, and therefore I will be polluting the environment even more. So where is the benefit? Should I not stick to the dairy product that my body is able to break down? Yeah. And the same would be the argument with Indians. So for years and years and years, they were doing it like this. So they are eating dal, they are mixing it with rice, they, can use all the Ayurvedic spices. Good for them. Their body is used to that. And then you do it like somewhere in London, and you start to be bloated, and you have like hairs falling off, and all of this just because you want to become Indian yogi. I mean, a little bit of a sense needs to be there, right? So we can practice yoga, fantastic, but in this Western way.
Yeah, so it's about being sensitive to your climate and adapting to your environment for the most sustainable for your body and for the planet. So that seemed like the best option. And so if you're coming from, I certainly, in my experience of eating only raw food, trying that diet, that was havoc for my digestive system. I got very, very ill when I did it like intensely for 2 weeks, and then tried to carry it on, and I just couldn't. It just was really not right for me. So I can see, but if you're in a tropical environment where the fruit is abundant and you're having all these lovely tropical fruit, then great. The weather suits that. But cold salads in the winter, this is just not good either.
Absolutely. And also, like, people say, I go to Bali and I feel amazing by eating all the tropical fruit. But is it really only what they eat there? Or is it because they're completely relaxed? They sleep 10 hours per day. They do bloody nothing. So there is no stress, no work. You lie on the beach, you enjoy your life. Therefore, you have very low levels of cortisol. You can easily absorb all the food that you are eating, and you enjoy it. But then you come back into your hectic days somewhere in London. You buy the fruit in supermarket that was like sprayed with God knows what and in the shop for 2 weeks, and suddenly that diet doesn't work, right? Because it does not correspond with the environment. And with raw food, exactly as you say, majority of my clients that is trying to eat very healthily, and they always come to me, they say, but I eat healthily, but I get really bloated. So they got the bloating and irritation of the bowel to such extreme that basically they created inflammation. And inflammation, right? It's basically chemical stress in our body. It's an overwork for our body. The body is trying to fight this disease, right? The inflammation, and repair it. And it's again increasing cortisol. And cortisol, the stress hormone, anytime that it's up there, and all the yogis know that through the breathing, you are trying to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. But if the cortisol is in your bloodstream and the body is trying to fix yourself, you will be always in the sympathetic nervous system, fight and flight. So yoga is then not serving you at all, right? So this is all like trying to do something good, yet hurting yourself.
I give you the example exactly that you basically summarized 10 years of my life there. Because I was teaching yoga, and very physically active, cycling across London, and teaching 3 or 4 classes, sometimes 5 classes a day, practicing yoga as well, and vegetarian diet, and for 15 years. And then sorry, about 13 years, and then I did 3 years of veganism at the end of this time period. So it was a long time vegetarian, and then I was like, no, I want to be more committed to this ethical lifestyle. 3 years veganism. By the end of that, with a very busy lifestyle and this diet, I was supplementing 200 pounds a month, spending on spirulina, flaxseed, getting my omega, trying to get the protein, trying to get the iron wherever I could. I was supplementing, spending a lot of money to get it. But in my head, I was like, I'm so healthy, I live a healthy lifestyle, but my body was telling a completely different story. Yes, there was bloating, but more seriously than that, and I was ignoring it for so many years, was the menstrual dysfunction. Such irregular periods. There were times where I didn't bleed for months, and then there were times where I was bleeding non-stop for like 3 weeks in a row. I'd stop for a week, and then I'd bleed another 3 weeks, and I was just bleeding or not bleeding, and this was bad. My hair got really thin and greasy. My gums were inflamed. My dentist told me I was getting periodontal gum disease. So I was like, but I don't have any sugar apart from dried fruit and and just fresh fruit all the time, and constantly snacking. I was hungry all the time. Snacking on these dried fruit bars, nut bars, always on the go. And acne outbreaks, early 30s. I had no sex drive, no libido. I was really I was dry, sort of vaginal discharge or anything. And I thought, oh, it's because I'm 30, I'm old now. You probably just don't get it like you do when you're in your 20s. My joints were cracking and clicking all the time. And I thought, well, that's just because I'm stretching all the time and I'm bendy. I'd have constant lower backache. I'd have I don't remember the bowels being too much of an issue, but yeah, there was bloating for sure. So there was this whole different catalogue of things where actually, always cold. Hands and feet. And I was always thinking and this was early 30s, I was like, I want to have a baby. And I went to the traditional Chinese medicine because it was taking me 1.5 years to get pregnant, and I wasn't pregnant. I was like, I'm starting to worry, what's wrong with me? So I went there, and my Chinese acupuncturist, she said, oh, no, baby, you don't have baby, you're too cold. I was like, oh, thanks. She just came so outright with it like this, like, we need to sort your liver meridian, your kidneys, your spleen, you need all these herbal things, and you need to start eating meat. If you want to give life, you need to eat some meat. And for me, it was so difficult to accept that because I wanted to I just was against killing and cruelty of animals. I didn't want to consume flesh. So, but at the same time, I thought, whoa, actually all these indicators are showing me that maybe I'm not as well as I thought. So I bought some meat from the farmer's market, and it was organic, high welfare, really expensive for a really little bit. And I did a blessing for it, and I was like, prepared the food and shared it with my cat. And I was just chewing on the flesh of the steak. I went straight in for a steak.
Yeah, you just
I didn't ease my way in, but actually I chewed it and I had no satiation for it, no desire. It wasn't meat. It was just very neutral, not interested in the taste, just consumed it. And a few days later I felt amazing, and slowly but surely introducing a bit more meat, once, twice a week, a little bit, all high welfare, always organic. I found it was like someone plugged me back in. After a few weeks, everything started working, more energy, less appetite, not eating all the time, not snacking all the time. Oh, my mood swings, gone. I was warmer. the gum disease, after, you know, that started to resolve itself and reverse, and my hair got really nice. My sex drive came back. I was a lot more grounded in my whole personality. I was no longer scatty and like flighty and anxious. It calmed my whole system down, and I couldn't believe it. It was like a personality transplant just from changing my diet, and and yeah, I just lightened up. And even though I felt more grounded, and my joints were warm and no longer creaking, and all of those things I listed, they're gone. I look younger, I look healthier, I look slimmer. So, you know, I think for me it was the right choice, and I fell pregnant. You know, I got my periods properly working, and I got
fantastic. But I just want to say that actually it is possible to achieve it even without meat, because I, for example, so not vegetarian, but let's say that 80% of my week is really eating just vegetable and other sources of protein, but I don't really eat meat because I don't like the taste of it. And I know that this might be a problem for lots and lots of vegans and vegetarians when they say, I really don't like the taste. So I never push my clients, you know, if they say, I don't like meat, you know, not to eat it. For example, I would never eat pork because I really don't like pork. So that is no. But, you know, I would time to time have, for example, chicken. But from a nutritional point of view, what's important is always to know what are the other sources of protein, the complete protein, and how I can do it. So I usually recommend, for example, fatty fish. So not like white fish, definitely not tuna. Tuna is just a no-no, because it's high in mercury. It's the worst fish probably ever, shark, tuna, and stuff like this. But small fish like sardines are extremely high in protein, right? So you would have to eat a full steak to get 20 grams. And if you eat just 3 tiny sardines, they are 18 grams. Like a tiny sardine, 18 grams, right? So that's what I would, for example, eat, because it's so easy for me to eat 3 tiny sardines and I have 18 grams of protein than eating a massive steak,
or the environment as well, because it's
so I think that, you know, for vegetarians, if they could at least become like pescatarians, how they call them. I would never want to call myself and put myself in any box. I think it's absolutely horrible. I think that the best is intuitive eating, whatever you accept and is okay for you to eat, right? So if it's the small sardine, fantastic. If it's not, is it eggs? If it's eggs, fantastic. If you cannot eat eggs as they are, I think it's so easy to mix them into pancakes or make a protein cake, you know, protein bread, because then you don't see the egg and you still get the benefit. So it's just...
So it's kind of trying to find a way to bridge the gap, fill the gap with these foods that are perhaps the lesser of the evils. So sardines and eggs are really good ones to consider. Is there anything else?
So for example, like from fish, if I will continue, because fish, it's not only because of the protein, but it's really a superfood because it has omega-3, right? So omega-3 fatty acids, it's very important, for example, against the anxiety, depression, and it's also anti-inflammatory. So if anybody has like any inflammation, and we all do, we have some inflammation, it can be gut inflammation, you might have rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, hypothyroidism, right? When your thyroid is not functioning properly, then you have cold hands and feet. So for all of this, omega-3 is beneficial. And of course, if people still want to be vegans,
you can get it in algae.
It's the one that we cannot really convert, right? But you can still swallow fish oil. So for some vegetarians, it's not so difficult. And this is it, right? There are some people that say, I'm vegetarian, but I take fish oil, right? Or I'm vegan and I take fish oil. I mean, why do you really have to put yourself into that box of saying that you are a vegan? Just say you avoid meat and you take fish oil, so you can have the one from algae, but the research showed that we cannot really convert it. Maybe you convert like 20%, neither that. So it's not so beneficial. But we need this omega-3 because every cell in our body, every cell has this phospholipid bilayer. So it's made from lipid, fat. And omega-3 makes it fluid. And we have the receptors for all the hormones. And hormones are the chemical messengers. They carry the message, right? Somebody sends me a message, and if they have my mobile phone, right? So they must have my mobile phone and the receptor, and I need to read it. And when I read it, it needs to be my language. So if it's in Japanese, I'm not going to do anything. If it's in my language and it says, Blanka, calm down, then I will do it, right? So that's how the cells operate. Yeah. And if you don't eat omega-3 from fish, you don't have this fluidity. And the receptors are also made from amino acids, from protein, right? So if you don't eat protein, you don't have receptors. You don't have the fluidity in your cells. You don't have the hormones that needs to deliver the message. And then your body cannot function properly because there are no building blocks, there are no workers, there are no messages, there is nothing. And
so that's chemically and hormonally, that's kind of what was going on in my body in those years that I spent years.
Yeah. So for example, you had cold hands and feet because you didn't have thyroid hormones, right? So this chain of amino acids, when the thyroid gland will send the hormone into your bloodstream, right? Maybe you had some of the hormone, but then you did not have the receptors. So even if the hormone was running around in your bloodstream, it just wasn't there. Or even if you think, for example, about vegans, they have anemia. But the problem is, for example, not every time that they are low in iron, but they don't have transferrin. So transferrin is a protein in the blood, right? That will take iron, the heavy metal, inside and will carry it into the liver. If you don't have a taxi driver, you can have thousands of passengers, iron, waiting in the bloodstream, but nobody to transport them. So you basically completely disrupt the system. The same for ferritin. So ferritin is only the storage, protein storage. So people say, oh, I have high levels of ferritin. But you also need to look whether you have free iron in the blood or not. Because if you go for infusion and you had iron in your blood, the problem was that the ferritin couldn't transport it to the transferrin couldn't transport it to ferritin because these are proteins. That was your problem.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is to hear the sort of chemical and nutritional science underlying why the why specifically the vegan diet is omitting huge pieces of nutrition from the diet. It's really good to hear that because we can all think, oh yeah, vegans, and I see it all the time in my social media feeds, like, oh, it's fake news that a vegan diet misses anything out. You can have a comprehensive full nutrition with a vegan diet, but that's kind of not really being backed up with the science of
and also, if a 20-year-old girl tells you she's a vegan, right? And she's a vegan for 2 years and she feels absolutely amazing, right? It's because it takes 5 to 7 years to deplete the B12 from the liver. So B12 is probably the only B vitamin that gets stored in the liver, and then the body is, slowly releasing it when it's needed.
That's
you can really, the first year, you might feel fantastic. Because, you live on the plants and our body is really able, fasting. You can fast for 3 months, like you can go without food for 3 months, not drink, not sleep, but without food, absolutely, right? Because we have the storage of fat and, we switch into using the ketones. So it is possible. And you feel light. Of course you feel light because you are not digesting anything, right? So in that moment, the body will still help you. But once it hits you and you start having, for example, memory problems, you cannot recall what you wanted to do. It's these small things, right? You are like, oh, what was her name? Or, oh, what time is the meeting? Is it at 4 or at 5? It's these
Yeah.
small things that you start. The brain is not operating well. I cannot imagine, I have to really memorize lots and lots of facts every single day and reading all the studies, like read 5 books and remember them by heart in 2 days. Yeah. If I was a vegan, my brain wouldn't operate like this. I would just not be able to do it, right? Because I would be forgetful, not concentrated, not focused, and all of that. So if this 20-year-old girl is telling you like, this is what I ate in a day, and I had hemp seeds, and then I had chia seeds,
That was
and
me,
then I
yeah.
was meditating for 1 hour, and then I went for a walk, right? So it's not practical for us who, like, I run my own business, you too, like I work 16
Yeah.
hours, I have
Young
2 children,
kids.
I have 2 dogs, so it's kind of like not really what I can do. Yeah. And also I don't have her DNA, and also there is a 20 years old gap in between us, right? So what she says, and she might look beautiful, I cannot follow. But there's so many young vegans that will follow it because they want to look like that Instagram babe that is just telling them that she's not going to tell them that she feels depressed in the evening, that she has cold hands, or she has like numbness, or she cannot run 10 kilometers because she doesn't have energy for it. No, no, no. For Instagram, she will make it look fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
it's a
probably
really, it's a big
not to
problem.
believe what the TV
Mm,
tells you, and even like dive deeper into the science. So, and
mm,
don't jump on the marketing trick. So spirulina, right? I
yeah.
mean, is it really a superfood? Because they say it's really high in B12, but that is B12 that we cannot convert in our body because there is an intrinsic factor in our stomach that needs to activate it. So yes, spirulina has B12, but it's inactive. So it doesn't serve you anything. And spirulina has high B12 if you consume about 200 grams. But how much do you use? You use 20 grams of the powder to mix it into the water. How could you possibly use 200 grams of dry spirulina? Like, would you drink 5 liters of spirulina every day for that inactive B12? I mean, that is such a nonsense. Just really dive into the advanced nutrition and physiology, and you will
That's
know that.
why I'm asking you these things because we're in a backdrop where there's the marketing for the spirulina, the turmeric, the vegan omega-3s, and it's so when you're desperate to make sure that you are getting a holistic diet, you'll go to Whole Foods to the aisles and just buy all of that.
Mhm.
As well, but yeah, without knowing that your body can't convert it very easily. It's
Yeah.
just
Or, they start eating, for example, this like wheat products, like, for example, what is it, seitan? I think seitan is
oh
basically
yeah, yeah, yeah.
dust. If you look at how it's made,
All the
so they
soya.
basically take the wheat and
Mm.
they, extract the gluten, like gluten that we are all trying to avoid. So they extract it and they boil it and boil it and boil it until it's concentrated gluten so that it becomes like a piece of meat. And that's what the vegans are eating. Concentrated gluten, like the glue. Oh my goodness. Or they drink soya milk. It's a phytoestrogen. So it is mimicking estrogen in the body. Therefore, your body then thinks, hey, we have enough. Let's not produce it. So then you basically cannot conceive because you don't have any estrogen. And if you don't have estrogen, you are not ovulating. You don't have a sex drive. You have no libido. You have dry vagina. You have depression. All that just because you like wanted to be vegan and eat soya products. Oh,
I know, but it's coming from a place of good intentions, right? It is. We're trying to do the best for the planet. We're trying to do the best for society, trying to do the best by our health. And meat can cause inflammation and it doesn't it? Meat causes inflammation in the body.
Well, depends how often you eat, what
Fat as
meat you
well.
eat, and where you were born. So as a
Yeah.
child, when you ate meat, did you have any inflammation? Probably not, right? So, and the same, like people say, there are like antibiotics and hormones in it and all of this. So, and they start buying like organic, they think that organic milk is better than a normal milk. This is all regulated now. It's the same, right? You don't need to buy organic milk. You can buy a normal milk, and the amount of the hormone, okay, yeah, there is going to be probably bovine remains of the hormone, but how much milk do you drink? If you put a little bit in your cappuccino, I like when I make coffee, I will put there like 3 drops of coffee. These 3 drops are not going to have any influence on my body because my liver and my kidney is working properly. So I'm immediately going to eliminate it because I have all the building blocks to help the detoxification process, right? So I don't stress myself about a little bit of milk, yeah? So this is just the perception and lack of knowledge. It's
Yeah.
just because people don't understand the biology. And that's why I would tell them consult a science-based nutritionist that is going to tell you this. But let me tell you, for me the same. Like before I became a nutritionist, I was thinking that if I read all these books and I eat raw, I was also like raw vegan for a little while because I wanted to eat only the plant-based diet because you are what you eat. So therefore I want to be the purest of pure. But I was hungry. The hunger was the worst thing that I did not lose any weight that I was expecting to lose. And I kept going for 1 or 2 years like this. And I was bloated all the time because I was eating lots and lots of salads. I didn't know that lettuce, especially iceberg, is full of sugar and that it's going to bloat me. Yeah. So I was making so many mistakes, or I was crunching on carrots. But if you eat 3 carrots, it's basically like eating a cake. Yeah.
No.
So I made all these mistakes, or I was eating quite a lot of fruit, especially on empty stomach, thinking it's healthy, right? So like freshly squeezed orange juice. And then I was wondering why I have heartburn. I made all the mistakes as well, right? So I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I have 49 kilos. I have plenty of energy, 2 kids, being busy, but I sleep well and everything just by eating sensibly. And still, I don't eat like meat. I will have it occasionally if I really feel like, but very rarely it happens to me. Yeah.
So, Blanka, to summarize what you say, what you mean by eat sensibly, it's a sort of a diet that is balanced across the different macronutrients, that is local to your environment and suitable for your climate. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so what do they call it? It's called macrobiotic, isn't it?
Yes, but it comes from like I think it's from Japan. So again, let's just it can be so simple. You
Okay.
go to the farmer's market, right? And they will have eggs from their chickens, the chickens that they love. Their chickens have names and they will tell you all about it. So, it's not that we harm somebody by buying these perfect eggs from a perfectly happy chickens. Yeah. Or they will have their piece of meat or even homemade sausage. That person made it with love. They were treating the animal nicely. It's and time to time, maybe once a week, you will have a nice sausage, yeah, from this really good source. It's not bad. And actually, if we like talk about the carbon dioxide or the methane and everything, we still need it because if we don't mass farm, but the cow, right, yes, is going to produce a little bit of methane and CO2, but the CO2 is needed for the plants, right, because then they in photosynthesis turn it into the oxygen. So if you look at the process, that's how it always used to be and how it works in nature. Would you just be angry with a lion because it ate baby antelope? Right? That's nature. It happens. Like, would you like shoot it or stop it or this? No, that animal was hungry and ate it. And should we explain to this animal, no, 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 please start eating the lettuce because that poor baby animal, like the mother is going to cry and all of that. Like, no, this is a nature. Or my dog the other day killed mouse. Should I be angry and say, Zana, you know, this baby mouse was squeaking, wasn't really dead. And what should I do? Should I like kill it, step on it? Or should I let it suffer for 1 hour? We went for a 1 hour walk. And you know what? The mouse was still suffering there. But I don't want to kill it, right? But Zana did it, my dog. She's going to have bad karma from this, you know, but she just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
So let's just be sensible, right?
Well, but yeah, I think the problem is we've gone so far as a sort of global capitalist economy and world market and overpopulation, where the pendulum's gone so far where we have really destroyed the planet and overconsumed, and the farming isn't, you know, there's all the pesticides and everything and all the antibiotics. The farming we have is not I mean, it sustains our overpopulated culture and their glutinous, you know, their desire for products, but it's not it's not in balance. It's gone too far, and so I guess when you make that choice to politically, veganism is a kind of political stance in a way. By you foregoing that diet, you're saying like, no, we need to put a stop to the planetary destruction. It's gone too far. So I kind of get that. I think it's an important political form of activism to, you know, shift the mindset and help, you know, bring things kind of back a little bit, hopefully. So what I'm interested in, I think, you know, people have that mindset, it's good, you know, it's okay, but I'm interested in ways to meet in the middle a little bit and not be a hard line meat eater or a hard line vegan, but somewhere in the middle where you can be like, okay, yeah, these 3 sardines, let's weigh it up, is probably better for the environment than this lump of steak. So yeah, I think that's really great. Or these eggs, or, you know, so if there's other things like a little bit of
cottage
butter.
cheese, right? So cottage cheese is a nice product. Or if you are worried about drinking milk, but what about fermented kefir or, you know, yogurt? Having it time to time. You don't need to eat yogurt every single day, but if once a week you will include yogurt. Once a week you will have a little bit of parmesan because it's high in calcium, you know, and in concentrated protein. So just finding the balance, because, you know, another, what we can say, every time, even if you are a vegan, the meal that you buy, is it processed, right? Because usually vegans, they go and they buy vegan sausage, vegan cheese that is made from cashew. Where is the cashew coming from? Is it from Europe? Well, probably not. So did that have to travel from somewhere? How does it look? So cashew looks like a mango, and it has this hard, you know, fruit around it. And that has to be burned with the acid. And then these poor workers, right, in Asia have to peel it. They don't have money for gloves. And who is working on it? Children. So children, go on internet and you will see it. They have burned hands. They have to inhale this acid so that they can make €1, $1 per day because they are hungry. So you are basically buying a cashew cheese because you want to protect the animals, but you don't look into how these poor children and women have to suffer so that you can have a vegan cheese. Do you know what? I'd rather have a normal cheese from a happy cow that was living with a happy farmer, and I feel much better. So vegans, please reconsider if vegan cheese is better, and who are you hurting, and which industry are you supporting? Yeah, that's it.
It's such a spider web, isn't it? You have to really investigate and think about every single item in a way in your shopping basket, and decide if it's the most sustainable and kind item thing. Even avocados, you know, there's like it's worse than the drug cartels. It's like criminal cartels organizing to bring their avocados because they're so profitable now. People are dying over
But with avocados, that's a very, very good point. I buy avocados from Spain directly from the farmers. There is a company, and maybe we could link it. It's called crowd farming, and it's basically to avoid that you buy fruit and vegetable in supermarkets because the farmers have to sell it for a little money. And if you buy it directly from them, so I receive, I buy, it's 18 avocados for 39 euro, beautiful avocados, and I have there the full story. I know who is the farmer, what's her name, how many trees she has, and all of that. So you can make a really good act and eat nice avocado and feel it. And it's not only about avocados. They have like, you can actually adopt a pomegranate tree in France, or in Spain, or in Italy. You choose who you want to support. You see their pictures, you see their videos, interviews with them. If you go on this website and you buy it directly really from them. It's such a nice act, yeah? And then one more thing I want to say is that whether you are vegan, vegetarian, omnivore, just keep it for yourself, but don't try to be an activist and convince others that your point of view is the best, right? I'm not saying to my clients, whether they are vegans, vegetarians, omnivores, pescatarians, whatever, what they should do. So I meet them where they are, and I maybe show them another view.
Yeah, so you're saying that because of the health implications, and the risks, because the vegan diet isn't suitable for everybody's body or everyone's life situation. And so, so it's when you're putting yourself in that position of responsibility of advocating a lifestyle, but not being very sensitive or aware of what their capacity is for that lifestyle, then you're putting people into danger in a way. And that's what I feel as a yoga teacher and a teacher to yoga teachers, that responsibility not to spread the view that veganism is the best diet for everybody, because it's really not. Because there could be lots of other women, I'm sensitive in their 20s wanting to be yoga teachers, and then they think, oh, I'm going to do this vegetarian diet, and they end up ruining their chances of fertility years down the line by pursuing a diet that's not supported their building blocks of life.
Because if you want to be a good yoga teacher and help the people, you must be in a good state of your mind. So you need to have the neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine in place so that you can serve others. As they say it in the airplane, first put the oxygen mask on you so that you can help others. If you as a yoga teacher damage your health, you have anxiety, you have depression, you will have to start taking antidepressants. The energy and the aura that you are going to have around you, right, is not going to give the energy to those people that you teach. You must be in a good place, and anything that you are saying must really come from the bottom of your heart and how you truly feel, so that you can help them. And for that, you need to eat the right building blocks so that the body can serve you and you can connect it with your mind, with your soul, and really have this gut feeling and the intuition in place, what's right. So intuitive eating, that's what we should recommend. Yeah. And that is different.
Doing your research and being aware of your environment. These are the basic principles of an ethical lifestyle, really, to ensure that everything you're doing is sustainable and non-harming. And so looking at that in your immediate environment and in your daily life of what you're choosing for breakfast, or what you're choosing to miss out of your breakfast.
Looking at the positive sides and the negative sides, looking if it serves you and if it serves the others around you. And we don't want to hurt animals, we don't want to damage the planet, but if you are not in a good state of mind, you can hurt with your words. And that can sometimes be even more painful and more damaging than if one poor animal dies. Yeah. So I
Well,
take
yeah, I mean,
everything into consideration.
I think, yeah, everyone's got their different, uh, you know, fires that they fight, and we do need some eco warriors and some vegan activists for sure. But for the political environment to swing that pendulum back into a balanced, it's like an ecological crisis that we're in, really, with the environment and stuff. So stuff needs to be done, but we have to just also, there are maybe like a middle path of doing it. So for me, what I'm really taking from this is the eggs, the local eggs, and the 3 sardines. I'm going to try that. I've never really tried sardines
And
before.
cottage cheese, because
Yeah.
what I do, because at the start it might be difficult for you. So what I suggest, for example, to my clients is, start with cottage cheese, so 100 grams of cottage cheese, and mix it with one sardine. So
Yeah.
basically you a little bit lose the,
Well, I'll
no, it's
try
a really
it.
nice
No,
combination.
I'll try it. If it means saves me from eating a chicken, which is a bigger animal. Yeah. I've just watched Seaspiracy, so I'm like really gone off
Mhm.
food.
Or, wild caught salmon
Mm,
once a week is also a nice option. Or seafood, like if you have organic crevettes, it's
yeah.
enough. 5 is a portion. So,
Yeah.
everybody is different, because, if we have Italian vegans, they might be more prone to this. So you have to choose something that,
It's local.
yeah, it's local,
Mhm.
what like speaks to what you could do, but usually acts like hiding them into something that works. So for example, my daughter, if I say, do you want an omelette, she would never eat it. She doesn't like it. But if I make pancakes, like I make buckwheat pancakes because it's quite high in protein, and I mix there fromage frais. So it's like, what is it, fromage frais? Do you know what is fromage frais? I don't even know if it's like
Creme fraiche.
fromage frais. And then I put there linseeds because it's also high in protein, and I put there 2 or 3 eggs and vanilla, and I fry it on a coconut oil. She
Mhm.
loves it, so she will get the dose of the protein, because even children, some kids like meat, some and eggs, and some just don't. But it's important to like offer it to them and let them try different stuff, especially like with children. I think what's the problem is when vegan parents make vegan kids and don't give them the chance to make their own choice.
Yeah.
And then they wonder, like, my child is completely pale, he's not putting the weight on, he's urinating himself in the night, he has nightmares and all of that.
Oh, could the we in the night and then nightmares
Yeah,
linked to
absolutely.
diet?
So, you are responsible for your child, and you need to make sure that every
I
child
mean,
or every.
yeah. I mean, I do have friends that are very, very sort of strict vegans, and they have children, and this is something that's comes up. But I think that's why it's a political and it's a very controversial topic. But I think, yeah, if we can like meet in the middle somewhere and everyone like optimize their well-being and increase their knowledge of the science of what's going on so that they can then make more informed choices in terms of the science of their health, then
Yeah.
hopefully that brings them into a place of meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
But to have this discussion with a really strict vegan um, is challenging, I think. So
Yeah, I think, even for me, like science-based nutritionist, that would be very challenging to become a vegan and make sure that I have, enough protein that I need for every day, so that I have estrogen, progesterone, and all of that, that I don't overdo it on carbohydrates, because then, you
yeah.
basically eat on sugar and then it's fermenting and it's causing fatty liver and many, many other chronic disease, inflammation. Yeah. Do I have healthy fats that I combine well? Ah, it's just so, I would have to supplement a lot to be a good vegan, right? I would have to do hell a lot to make sure I'm healthy.
Like daily planning, meal planning,
Oh yeah, total.
preparation.
Like, yeah, I would find it quite challenging. So vegetarian, it's okay. It's really
Okay.
manageable. You can still
Yeah.
have, you know, plenty of like other sources of protein. You can combine it well. It's easy, but vegans, it's really difficult. Yeah.
Okay. That's that. I think that puts a nice ending to. And I don't know who's going to listen to this and who's going to feel like outraged or upset or offended by some aspects of it, but it might do because it is like it is a political stance for a lot of
But
people.
you
It's a
know,
moral lifestyle choice, isn't it? I know, and I hope, you know, there are going to be some people that feel like, oh my God, I recognize some of those symptoms. Maybe I do need to like be a bit more intuitive and adaptable with my eating and not a hard line, dogmatic approach. And
I
maybe
believe
help
that,
them.
you know, if the person is watching this until the end, they know that it was a sign from the universe and they were meant to hear it. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it's a mirror to us. And sometimes we hear things that we don't want to hear, right? But that is a message for us.
It
And we
may
can
not
reflect
hit
about
now, but it'll hit at another point. It's like when my traditional Chinese medicine, my acupuncturist, she said, "You're going to have to eat some meat," and I was like, so angry at her that she
yeah,
suggested such a thing. But now I'll never forget that because it means that I've, you know, it helped me on my journey to having my children. So
yeah, yeah.
I was
Exactly. Like,
angry at her at the
same
time.
for me, like I hear many times, you know, even when you get like a negative feedback and you are like, no, they're totally wrong. But there is always a lesson in it, right? Why did I not like the person saying it? Because they actually have some negative trait or do something that I actually have in me as well. And then you recognize like, oof, you know, I have it as well, and this is what I don't want. So it makes you
Yeah,
to
it's very
work on it.
triggering. Yeah.
So, you know, if people are now, no, no, this is not. If they look at it from another angle, they will maybe see, maybe this message is telling me that maybe I should make the research and maybe I should, you know, increase the protein or whatever. And if people are like happy about it and they're like, wow, this just confirmed why I didn't sleep well, even better, right? That's what we want. So
Yeah.
who knows, maybe we'll get a feedback from people and they will thank us and say, oh, thank you for opening my eyes. I didn't know that cashew is so bad. And from now on, I will stop eating cashews and I will eat only almonds from Italy. You know, things like that. It's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like it was something you know, I've wanted to get off my chest for a really long time because it's almost like a shameful secret in a way of having this non-vegetarian diet and yet being a yoga teacher. So I know I always it's you know I always tell people all about it when I'm teaching them in person, but it's never been like a public announcement. So I think, you know, I think it's important also to like be honest and authentic with
Yeah.
the lifestyle that you're leading.
And also like to be honest and authentic and say it, because there are many yoga teachers that say that they are vegan and they are actually not, right? So it's 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 the worst. It happened to me as well that
Oh,
many
really?
times like I met a yoga teacher vegan and she said, you know, time to time I steal from my boyfriend the white part of the egg, and I'm like, are you vegan? Because you would never do that.
Oh no, yeah, don't need that.
That is really
Yeah.
like when you hear this, it's no. So don't either call yourself vegan at all and then
Yeah,
steal this whatever. But yeah, live
yeah. I think
what is true to you.
Thank you, Blanca. Thank
Thank you
you
as well,
for
Tammy.
talking
It was
about
lovely
the
chatting.
neurotransmitters and the hormones. I love all
Yeah,
that stuff. It's good.
covered a lot.
All right.